Ithinar's Bloom by H. Jane Harrington. Chapter 6. The Guardian Deception. Be wary of making oaths to desperate men and needy women. You will be binding yourself to a hopeless cause with one and an empty pocket with the other. Master Kezias. Keir must have sensed the oncoming creature, because she pulled the sword from its scabbard and, in one fluid motion, spun toward it. The blade connected with the creature's open jaw, slicing a section of mandible from the muzzle. The beast screamed as yellow blood spewed from the gaping wound. Targeting the bulging central eyeball, Keir leapt into the air on a hasty wind-wisp. She plunged the sword through the orb, sending it deep into the Kiowa's brains. It did not shriek or react. It simply collapsed, like a sack of flour dropped upon the kitchen floor. Keir rode the Malcraven's head to the ground and withdrew blade from brainpan. She jumped into an impressive aerial somersault, landing gracefully before Vaughn. Admiring the broadsword for a moment, she grinned slightly, clearly in awe of the weapon's power. Then she studied the newly molded Vambrace around her forearm, and her features darkened. "This is a guardian's Vambrace," she choked out. Her eyes shot daggers of accusation. Vaughn hung his head. "I am sorry, Keir. I had to do it. You would have been killed." Keir grabbed Vaughn by the collar and pressed the broadsword's razor edge to his throat. "If I'm a guardian, then that would make you—" "The Crown Prince," Vaughn whispered. "Impossible! Tarnavarian had no siblings. None living, anyway." "He did," Vaughn countered, boldly meeting Keir's menacing gaze. She could not kill him now, not as his guardian. "My royal name is Vanasarian. I was removed from the court when I was 3 years old. The people were told that you were dead," Keir finished. "I was just a sapling, but I remember how everyone mourned. The queen and prince had perished at sea, they said. I even attended the funeral." Keir seemed to be lost in thought, but her grip on Vaughn's collar remained steadfast. She finally released him and looked, once again, to the guardian sword in her hand. She wiped the yellow blood from the blade and returned it to the scabbard. "I don't want it. Take it back, Stick. I don't want this," Keir said, thrusting the sword at his chest. "I cannot. It is done. You're my guardian now, bound by the oath." "I took no oath," she argued. "But you did. You swore to protect me. When a guardian takes the oath, when he verbally commits to protecting a direct line of the crown, he is bound by it. Until he is either released from service or killed protecting his garden," Keir finished. Vaughn nodded. The guardians were no secret, and had even become legendary in their own respect. It was quite an honor to be chosen as guardian, and they were hand-selected by their royal charges. Many a soldier and great warrior had knelt before kings, queens, and crown heirs, requesting to be chosen in their service. It was the highest honor a warrior of the crown could be afforded. Keir, however, was not a warrior of the crown, nor was she committed to protecting its interests. She would not cherish this position, but regard it as bondage. "You've made me a slave to the crown," Keir said, vocalizing his thoughts. "Forgive me. I could think of no other way. The Malcraven would have killed you, and then it would have killed me, and," Vaughn added hesitantly, "I feared what I might represent to you." He was well aware of the bitter irony. Keir had unwittingly taken an oath to protect the very thing she had sworn to destroy. "You thought I'd kill you because you're the Crown Prince," Keir snarled. "You turned me guardian to protect yourself from me. The magic infused in the oath prevents your guardian from bringing you harm. So you deceived me." Vaughn was silent for an unbearable moment. He hung his head and nodded, ashamed at his own fraud. Keir closed her eyes, and her anger seemed to drain away. "You had nothing to worry about, Stick. I was only interested in Tarnavarian's blood. I'm not a cold-blooded killer." She paused momentarily in consideration, then chuckled. "Well, reckon I am, but only when people deserve it." "How do you know when people deserve it?" "When they rape and murder before me," Keir replied darkly. Vaughn looked away. Keir's legs succumbed to exhaustion, and she sank to the soil. Vaughn joined her, fatigued in his own right. "If you've been alive all this time, why didn't you have a guardian before now?" Keir asked. "I wasn't Crown Prince until my brother was murdered. Only those in direct line to the throne, the king, queen, and crown heir, are afforded access to the guardian magic," Vaughn answered. Keir was silent for a while, and Vaughn said nothing more, allowing her time to surface from the tsunami of information. "Why did you run? Why did the crown fabricate a lie and send its queen and prince into exile? Kier asked finally. Because, Vaughn swallowed, it is believed by some that I am to be the chaos bringer. The high priests, Kier reasoned. It was more of a statement than a question. Vaughn confirmed with a nod, then continued. When I was 3 years old, a lower-level priest issued a prophecy that I would bring about the downfall of the monarchy. He proclaimed that when the crown prince ascended the throne, should I remain in the king's court, the world as we know it will cease to be, and order will be shattered throughout the whole of Septaria. Why didn't they just kill you? Because there was a great political struggle amongst the priests and the king's council regarding the legitimacy of the prophecy. It was issued to the crown by a lesser priest. Prophecies of that magnitude are always delivered by the highest-ranking prophets themselves. It created consternation and chaos in the court. Even if ordered by a king himself, the murder of a prince is a capital offense and would anger the gods. On the other hand, allowing me to bring down the monarchy, that would be even worse. So, to solve the problem, King Saventine, my father, Vaughn corrected, sent me away under the care of my mother. He was able to save my life and appease the priests at the same time. My mother gladly spirited me away, and the story of our deaths was delivered to the people. I was no longer in the king's court and could therefore not fulfill the prophecy. The prophecy's been rendered obsolete. It was dependent on my brother taking the throne. The assassins. You've spent your entire life dodging them, haven't you? Vaughn thought he detected a trace of sympathy in Kier's voice. Yes. Somehow they know where I am when I cast magic. I must be marked in some way, so I've been forbidden to cast since I was a child, lest they find me again. We've always moved frequently to stay one step ahead of the keepers. Now that you know they're under the high priest's order, what do you figure will happen when you reach the capital? Vaughn blinked. He hadn't thought of that. Was he walking right into the hands of the enemy? But then his father was the king. It matters not, Vaughn said. My father has authority over the priests. When he learns that they've been hunting me all this time, I'm sure he will take action. Kier did not look convinced, but she said nothing more. When they had rested enough, Kier rose. We best get moving, Stick. If mages are coming for a prince roping party, we don't want to be caught unawares. I never finished healing you, Vaughn realized. Kier shook her head. I told you earlier I'm fine. Takes more than some overgrown songbird to bring me down. Besides, we can't afford to wait around for those mages to drop a rupture on our heads. Then we are reconciled, you and I? You forgive me for bonding you to guardianship? No, Kier said flatly. But at least dying'll be more fun now.